Hello, and welcome to episode 58 of the Extreme Hardware Podcast. The crew's a little small right now, but we will have more showing up as this recording continues. So going down the list, thank you, TeamSpeak. First, we've got Axifer.
Hello.
We've got Jack.
Yo.
Oh, and Alex just showed up. Perfect. That was one of the people we were missing.
Hola.
Awesome.
Alex, it's bonjour.
Bonjour.
You're in Canada now. Learn our customs and adapt to them.
And Chris will be joining us here once he gets finished making himself some chicken tendies. I assume that's what he's making. It's either that or fish sticks. So yeah, let's get right into it. The first one, which is the hot topic, and yes, have been told that this is an older breach. At least we were aware of it, but the Facebook data breach that actually occurred in late 2019. We finally got to figure out what was actually contained in the breach. And it turns out that it's everybody's public information that they have on their profile, including phone numbers, anything that they have filled out in their about status, their names, if they have their address like hidden on their profile, that might be in there.
Email addresses as well.
Email addresses. But the interesting part of this breach is typically when these major data breaches occur, there's usually a ransom or like an auction that occurs like through like deep web, dark web auctions for X amount of Bitcoin. But this is just free. Like the data was just made public, and you can just go and look at all the data if you want it, which I find really entertaining.
I think that's kind of nice, though, because maybe it's supposed to show that how insecure Facebook really is, because Facebook has had so many data breaches.
Yeah.
They have like one or two a year.
It hasn't really affected people that much, but now this has affected like everyone. For some reason, it didn't affect me, which I was kind of lucky about. But
That's not quite. There's a little over 500 million users in there out of the over 3 billion people that have a Facebook account.
or rather 3 billion Facebook accounts.
Yeah.
It could be multiple people using.
Because I've got multiple. Well, I had multiple accounts, but one of them got deleted because it had a funny name, and I added hundreds of people with the same name.
So yeah, if you want to find out what got leaked, if you go into like have I been pawned or something, just type in your email address, type in your number, see if it's there. It only does those two things for now. So, but those are really the things I suppose you need to be worried about. Another thing really is if you have Facebook and you put your details on it, well, you kind of unfortunately need to expect this. But the thing that really is frustrating is if you don't have Facebook, you don't put your details on, but you have one of your friends who's gone and like add all my or share all my contacts on my phone with Facebook, and suddenly you realize they've put your number up on Facebook, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. And also, I think the interesting part about this breach as well is in regards to
It's also a robocaller's wet dream.
Oh, yeah. No, but in regards to the data that was actually leaked, so Facebook didn't disclose this to whatever entity needed to be made aware, because I think their official statement was, we did not believe that the data that was leaked was that significant. However, the problem is if with a little bit of correlation, you can get people's like, their date of birth, where were they born, what high school did you go to, which is all great information if you need to get into a bank or something.
Yeah, I find it actually very frustrating when people put like their birthday and their email address, or use like their birthday and their passwords, or just any sort of information like that, because there's so many cases of people having their bank accounts compromised because of crap like that, because they're like, oh, but I've got MFA on my bank, it shouldn't get compromised.
Yeah,
and then it ends up getting compromised because banks are really stupid. Like, you can just phone in, like the bank that I'm with, you can just phone in and say, oh, I've lost access to that cell phone that it was because they don't use apps for some reason. Yeah, this is my date of birth. This is my credit card number. There's all the digits because they've got that. Can you reset it? And they're like, okay, sure.
Yeah, with the phone thing, you don't even need to say you've lost your number. There's someone had a bunch of Bitcoin stolen from him because the two-factor authentication was using text messages, and someone paid like I think it was $5 to get their phone number redirected to a stolen one.
Amazing.
Also, not even that, like I have kind of so one thing related to that is I know one of the companies I work for as a third party, they have Microsoft Authenticator as an app option for your multi-factor authentication, but you can just call their IT, and if you know at least the basic information of the account, you can just have them just remove the multi-factor straight up because you lost your phone or your phone got wet and destroyed or something. Like minimal info, which is annoying. But the other thing is, for the whole public data thing, is the other side of the story where you have all these companies where they make you sign up for their accounts and they force you to put security questions in.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all the stupid, simple security questions like what city were you born, your mother's maiden name, what street did you grow up on,
what's your first car?
Yeah, so they force you to use all these stupid, simple questions that either A, you tell the truth and hope that someone doesn't have that information, or B, you lie and have to either store that information somewhere for your lied answers or try to remember them.
So am I not supposed to answer those questions right now?
Well, see, and that's what I've gotten down to at this point is like all of my answers are either intentionally typoed or they are using very specific references that only like maybe one other person would know from my childhood. And that's it. And actually, one of the questions is related to like a nickname that I had, and the guy who I brought that up to like maybe last year, he completely forgot about it. So it was a perfect question until I brought that up.
But keep in mind that the majority of people that are going to fall for the scams are the ones who aren't tech savvy like us, who aren't going to try to come up with fake answers or some sort of system. They're going to answer truthfully so they can remember those secret questions. And they're going to choose the easiest ones almost every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something else I do with my bank, the MFA, I don't know what it is with banks and refusing to let you use MFA apps and only through SMSs. But I have like a whole bunch of phones added to my MFA, and you can give a description of which one. So it doesn't show you the number, it just shows you the last two digits of the number and then like your description. My descriptions are absolutely horrendous for the phone numbers. It's like, do not use under any circumstance. That's the one I need to message.
I was going to say, I mean, you could even go out there and say like Nokia 7014 or something like that. My brother's burner phone is always a fun one as well. But yeah, I don't know. This breach is really stupid, but I do find it entertaining that all the information is publicly available. So
the worst part is that they're not telling people that they were compromised. It's basically up to the user now to either rely on, like haveibeenpwned.com or whatever, or all those services to sign up for those that hope that the information makes it to them so that they can be notified.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a scary thing, right? When I did this, I looked up Tiffany's email address for this, and it was part of the compromised ones. And she, in her email address, she has like 2 email addresses that she uses for everything.
Okay.
And like 2 passwords for everything.
Oh.
And in the email address, it includes her birthday as well. And obviously, Facebook, the breach, you can just basically search that person up, find them on Facebook, find all their information, find out all that sort of the questions, the answers to half those questions, and probably her number as well. It's just like, I think the problem with people who aren't super tech savvy, not even super tech savvy, just remotely tech savvy, they won't know that this happened, like you said. And that's who it's going to really impact, because they also don't realize the chain of effect that this has. Like, oh, it's my email. Who cares? My email's public. But it's like all that it relates to. And I also feel like a lot of those times, people who haven't had an email address compromised don't realize how much how scary it is, essentially. Like when I was, I don't know, remember my age, but it was like 8 years ago, I lost access to one of my email addresses because my local ISP had a massive data breach and all the passwords went public. And I lost my Steam account. I lost access to my bank account. I lost access to like so much stuff in a very short span of time. And it was just it's kind of crazy because you just get kicked out of everything and you just like go, oh crap, they can just use my bank account, my bank cards, etc.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really like I feel like a lot of people's security stance is I hope it doesn't happen to me.
I was going to say, as somebody whose
Very worrying.
first email was a Yahoo email address, I'm very familiar with an email address getting compromised very frequently.
Yeah.
So,
I know the I hope it won't happen to me isn't really a thing. It's more, I don't care, that won't happen to me, and then it does.
Yeah.
yeah. And then also, what really pisses me off is the number of platforms that don't have a, hey, we noticed that somebody just attempted to log into your
my
account.
goodness.
Because I got one recently with my Amazon account before the password was changed, and it says yes, we had an unauthorized login attempt from, it was like Zimbabwe or something like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, you know what? It's time to change this password. I really like that feature.
You know who's actually really good is Apple with that.
Actually, Google is as well.
I get those from Facebook. Someone trying to log into my account using an iPhone 13 Pro. I get a lot of those emails.
What? Oh,
Yeah, the
email.
spam emails.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I'm talking about like
I'm just checking my Windows one right now because it is absolutely glorious. And you guys are going to laugh when you see it. Because I've had this Hotmail account since,
oh goodness.
I want to say 2007.
Hey,
No, it would have been faster than that. No,
the
'cause
Hotmail days.
I was in elementary school. That was, I been 2002, 2003, right after Hotmail kind of came basically free.
Yep.
And here's a screenshot that's going to be, I'm just going to make sure nothing's on here, of just in the last 5 days of login activity or attempted login activity on my Hotmail account. I've got everything from Canada to Vietnam to Thailand to the US to India.
I appreciate
Jordan.
Yeah, that one's funny.
I'm
It's
looking
pretty
at
much
my,
a steady 7 or 8 per day, but like this email is so old. Like this was used on LinkedIn, Neopets, RuneScape,
Yeah.
Habbo Hotel.
Oh, my goodness.
Like every single sign up you could have had in the
Go to-
early web days. But it's the one that I talked to all my family with because that's the one they know. I keep it around, and they actually have a decent junk filter. It's probably overzealous, but at least anyone in my contacts list, it doesn't put in junk, and those are the only ones I really care about anyway.
Right. You're
yeah,
like, I'm almost getting to. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at my spam folder now. I've started getting the emails again from the elongated secret. I stopped getting those for a while, but I haven't had one from Facebook for a while.
Yeah. You know what? The one your account's been locked out due to somebody trying to log in and failing on the password is Apple. Those emails are always sketch because whatever domain that they utilize for that service does not look real. It's always some string of just random numbers and characters for me. And then when I actually go to my account, it turns out it was actually compromised, or it was actually locked out, and I had to reset a password. That one ticks me off more than anything.
I think my favorite is that like my Gmail right now, I like that Gmail now does you can add your Microsoft account to your Gmail so that it kind of gives you a single inbox for everything. So my spam filters are merged. So I have all my spam from my Hotmail account and my Gmail account.
Yeah.
And I've been loving all these new spam emails now where it's a link and like in the subject, like, oh, like fill in this Google Forms to gain access to photos from this person. Or the email comes from Pierce Richard, but the subject is Andrea, 20-year-old invite you. And then the text is, hi, I found your Insta. And well, I don't even have an Instagram, but then it says, I am Michelle in the body of it.
Yeah, I got a bunch of interesting emails.
Yeah,
I just sent a screenshot of one of them.
Yeah, as like most of the ones I can't read out on stream.
Well, the one I put a screenshot of, you can't read on stream, but it's definitely not a way that people speak.
No, we can read it. Come put your banana between my melons. I'm free for night. Cherries. That wasn't that hard.
Like, that was the best interpretation, like verbal interpretation of that we could have gotten.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah. Actually, just real quick, I'm going to just touch on a comment that we're getting in the live stream for us people listening to, or for people who are listening to the recording. We are currently streaming this on twitch.tv/extremehw. But they said, I also got a weird incident where somebody tried to log into my Google from Vietnam, but the sign-in fails because they get the pop-up notification on their phone. I actually haven't seen that one yet.
Yes, that's a really good thing, because I have the Microsoft Authenticator hooked up from my Hotmail account for like the notification sign-in, and all those fail notifications, they don't even trigger on my phone. So Microsoft is just straight up blocking them using whatever algorithm they have. So it doesn't actually annoy me at all, which is nice, because if I was getting like 8 to 10 notifications a day, that would be annoying.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you just change your password and you move on, because clearly the two-factor authentication is working.
Yeah, I do like how the iCloud one works. If you have an iPhone, if someone tries to log into it, you get like a notification on your phone to put in 6 numbers or something.
Yeah, no, the one with the iPhone, I think, is one of the best ones, because it also shows you where the login attempt is, like on the pop-up.
Mm-hmm.
And
user is trying to log in from this operating system from this IP address.
Yeah, there's both an allow and a type in number. The thing I don't like about the Gmail one is, imagine you're not aware that someone's compromised your account, and you open Gmail on your phone and a pop-up appears. So many people just go, and just click it.
Whenever I see that, I immediately go into panic mode.
Yeah, but no, they just click it. So I much prefer the number typing, just because you can't accidentally click accept.
Now, I do like the one Gmail where it says, we've sent a number to your phone. You have to click on this number. However, there's only 3 options usually. So it's like a 30% shot that you're going to get access to it.
That's the bad, though.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah, it's like, which number is it? It's like, well, if I just click and guess and get in, well, I'm lucky.
Yeah. Oh, so I think we've harped on this topic enough, but so let's move on to the next one. Alex, actually, I'll let you take this one away since you added it.
Oh boy. So this is the Oculus Facebook one, I assume.
It is, yes.
Okay. You know what? I actually need to open the podcast documents, so give me a second.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Look, I was just making dinner. Anyway, so just after the Facebook data breach, let's go on to something else that Facebook did. Wait, no, wrong. So I think it was 2017 or 2018, Facebook acquired Oculus, and that's been as bad as you can imagine it, especially as someone with a Rift. I know how awful it's turned into. Turns out, recently, at least, it's been kind of shown that Oculus as a company, before being bought by Facebook, was very close to releasing a Rift 2, like a PC-only Rift successor. Mm-hmm. The Rift S doesn't count as a Rift 2 because it's lower refresh rate. I think it's slightly higher resolution, but it's just like, I think
it's the same resolution.
I can't. Either way, it's not a great upgrade. It's technically an upgrade, but only technically.
I think it's more of a side grade, honestly.
Yeah. It's got inside-out tracking. That's the one thing it does have versus the Rift. Not that it matters, because whatever. Yeah, so the Rift S, which was supposed to be something along the lines of the Vive Pro, which has, 70% more resolution, 90 hertz OLED, etc., was apparently like fully fleshed out and about to go into production, and Facebook pulled the plug.
Wait, you're talking about the Rift 2, not the Rift S?
Sorry, the Rift 2, yes, not the Rift S. Think about it, 2 looks like S. Anyway,
More of a Z, if you will.
Alex can't do names.
Yes. No, I'm very bad at names. Anyway, yeah, it's just kind of crappy that it's been cancelled, and they went in a route of obviously doing the Quest and the Go, which is like it's a mobile slash technically you can link it to a desktop, but really you're streaming video to it still, so it's compressed and kind of ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm like very mixed feelings about this because the Quest 2 is the most popular headset, and I've got a feeling that they're selling it super cheap because of the amount of data that they're collecting. A little side note on that, like just compare the difference between the Apple HomePod Mini being $100 and the OK Google thing or the Alexa thing being basically free. It kind of shows you that those two companies are making nearly $100 per person selling those home devices. So translate that a little bit to the Oculus, where you have to have a Facebook account and you have to log in and use it. You have to use the Oculus Store. Well, you don't have to use the Oculus Store. It opens every time you use a Rift or a Quest or a Go. It's always open. The services are always running. It's always in the background being annoying and using lots of memory and taking stuff, which I don't like. So obviously they're getting a lot of useful information from this. And also they've basically said, obviously because they canceled the Rift 2, but also now, very recently, they said they're not going to make a PC headset ever again. They're going to focus on what makes them money, which, to be fair, makes sense, and they're going to double down on the Quest and the Go lineup.
Well, I would say if I want to go completely tinfoil, the probably the biggest reason for that is because the moment that they make a standalone PC version, it's just going to get cracked, and you can just run Steam VR on it.
I'm very interested to see that because I have a Rift and I'm not going to sell it because it's not worth $150. It's worth much more as an actual piece of hardware to me. Mm-hmm. And when 2022 rolls around and, the mandatory, you have to use a Facebook account with it now, I will be very interested to see if there is a Steam VR workaround. Because before, what would happen is I'd launch Steam VR and I'd go, launching the Oculus Store. It was really annoying.
What I really don't like about this is those headsets are really bad quality and also really cheap. So a bunch of people are going to buy it, think this is a terrible gimmick. There's no point in VR, and Facebook is single-handedly killing VR.
But it's weird. That's why I said I've got mixed feelings about it, because they're not killing it and they're killing it at the same time. VR has never been more popular than it has been now. But
will it stay popular? That's the thing, because it's like people that use Google Cardboard and say, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a Valve Index. I've tried VR once and it was terrible. And it's not. You just used a Google Cardboard.
Yeah. It was actually there's this parody Beat Saber account that I follow where basically it's just an anonymous submissions, but it was just basically I'm getting sick and tired of people saying that VR is a gimmick because they probably only use the Google Cardboard. But if people are still saying it's a gimmick and they actually have experienced an actual Valve Index, then okay, your opinion is valid.
Yeah. You just stole that from a tweet, Simmons.
No, that's literally what I just said.
Well, I wasn't listening. I was typing something to Jack.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Even I really want to get Tiffany to try the Rift and then the Index back to back, because having used the Rift for 2-3 years, it was such a huge jump to the Index. Holy moly.
Yeah, your reaction was fun. You wouldn't shut up about it for an hour.
Yeah, no, but it's so interesting because having a Rift, I didn't see a big point in games that weren't sitting games. Like Assetto Corsa, probably Flight Sim, I never tried it. Yeah. Or maybe the space one or whatever, was what I was imagining me always using VR for. And so I was very close to buying the HP G2, which is, I don't want to say a better headset. It's a higher resolution headset than the Index, but its tracking is absolute garbage. It uses stupid lights, and then there's literal just optical cameras to track the lights on the controllers.
So it's basically really what the PSVR is trying to do.
It's very similar to that. Yeah. So it's inaccurate, it's bad. It's like accuracy range is like within 10 centimeters compared to the index is 1.6 millimeters, which is, big difference. I was like, I ended up getting the index because it was in stock and I could get everything. And just playing Half-Life Alyx with the index and like how I can see everything and stuff like that. The controllers are amazing. I want to use VR for so much more now.
Yeah.
And like what I'm basically trying to say is I wonder how many people who have also done either the Quest Go, the Quest 2 or the Go or the base Rift or the bloody Google Cardboard and also thought, this is neat, but like it's so janky and it doesn't feel like I'm controlling stuff properly and they just never look back. Someone's going to spend 1,300 Canadian rubles or $1,000 on I hope this is good.
Yeah, no, and honestly, the way I'm recommending people getting into like the VR experience these days is buying a used Vive, because if you can
the
get
Vive
your hands,
controllers are much better.
If you,
sorry, not the index, the Rift.
Well, I guess it also depends on application because, like, obviously, I'm more biased towards the Beat Saber play style, and the Rift controllers are generally better accepted because of comfort at high speed.
Okay, I get that, but the Rift tracking sucks. It's only 180 degrees.
Yeah, you're right, but keep in mind
it uses Xbox 360 light stations.
Okay, but I mean, regardless, some of the top level players actually use.
Yeah, but do they use a Rift V1, like CV1 or Rift S?
That's a good question, actually. It's probably a CV1.
But for the tracking, they are compatible with the Valve lighthouses. I don't know if that makes a difference, though.
What?
The Vive controllers.
Yeah, so they're forwards compatible. So the Vive controllers work on PlayStation 1 and 2. The Index only works on PlayStation 2. Whatever that's worth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the future of VR looks... I'm not sure, really. Is it exciting? Is it not exciting? It's definitely picking up a lot as a result of the Quest 2. And what I hope is that Valve makes an Index 2, because even when they help out HTC and when they helped out HP, both of those headsets have big issues. The Index does have issues, but it's mainly around RMAs, just not... This is a first bash at their product. Some stuff fails. But otherwise, it's really well thought out. And I really would love them to do it again.
Yeah.
The only issues I've had with mine, and I've got like a really early batch model one because I bought it quite early on, is just hardware breaking.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's like the most common thing. It's like the plastic clips will snap, or another really common one is the cable would die. Either the breakout box thing or the little breakout cable bit, or the actual plug into the headset will go.
Mm.
But those, relatively minor issues, considering it's not like, the screen's turned black or something like that. So, yeah, I hope we can see a Rift 2. An Index 2. I'm bad at names. And I mainly want to see higher resolution. I think 120 hertz refresh rate is amazing. And 144 hertz, obviously, not that anything can really drive it that well.
Honestly, as much as I'm looking for the technology to improve, I just want a more readily accessible non-Oculus product to be but
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I hope the Quest 2 shows that Valve, that there's this market, and I hope that they kind of go, okay, it's worth us making the Index 2, versus their usual thing is we made a hardware thing. Okay, whoops, we abandoned it now.
Well, I do expect there to be an Index 2 at some point, but it's going to be like a high end model. But I want like a 2S if we want to use like iPhone terminology, where it's...
Do you mean SE?
Sure. Where it's just a lower spec hardware, or it's probably the same spec as the previous generation. It's more accessible. It's more affordable. You've got the Gen 1 Knuckles controllers that you can get with it. And it just works, and it gives you a good flawless solution, which And
Yeah.
we've talked about this on numerous other episodes. The problem with VR is the lack of adoption due to barrier of entry with cost, essentially.
Well, there's rumors about Valve making a second headset that's battery powered, so that might actually just be the current index on a battery that may or may not be cheaper.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. I'm pretty sure, because something as well with regards to like even wanting high resolution and stuff. I can't drive the current index to its full refresh rate and full resolution. I think a lot of people forget that if you have an index or any VR headset at 90, or actually they go down to 72, 80, 90, 120, 144 hertz, you shouldn't look at that like average frame rate. You should look at that like minimum frame rate.
Right.
Driving 120 FPS minimum at panels that are then upscaled to the equivalent of 5K, that's bloody hard. Especially because no one's getting a 3000 series, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And you're rendering the game twice.
Yeah.
Like it's not like having multiple screens.
No, actually, usually it's 3 times depending on the game. Because a lot of these games, I mean, thinking of Assetto Corsa especially, where not only are you rendering the full resolution of both eyes, but then it automatically does an output on your monitor as well. So yeah, Beat Saber does it for sure. VR Chat does it for sure. I don't know if Alex does it by default.
It does.
So you're essentially doing triple rendering. So you need a minimum of like a GTX 1080 to be able to get decent performance of a first gen VR headset.
I don't. I know what you're saying, but I don't think that impacts anything because I think it's already been drawn. The image being shown on the screen. It's equivalent to saying like, if you're duplicating a game across 2 monitors, you're having to render it twice.
I mean, but then that comes to a VRAM issue, and
no. Like, in Windows, how you can duplicate displays. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think it uses.
Gotcha.
I think with Half-Life Alyx and I think as well L.A. Noire, I don't know about Assetto Corsa, that just does mirroring. It doesn't actually render it 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, because I know with Beat Saber it is definitely a separate render because like the reason why half of those camera mods work is because it's a dedicated render engine for all of those different instances.
They probably get away with that because Beat Saber is really low.
Oh yeah, no. I mean like I don't know if you've seen any of like that the complex like pseudo mixed reality where it's the avatar and they have all the cameras panning around or they have multiple camera angles.
Yeah, people have spent $5,000 on that, and it's a weird version of like VTubers.
Yeah, no, and with that, so with those mods, so it used to be called Camera Plus, it's now called Camera 2, and then there's another one that is a fork of that mod. Every separate instance of the video render is literally you re-rendering the screen and then scaling it based on the fact that you have multiple cameras. So there's literally a button that you could do as like a stability test where it would spawn in 30 cameras. And it was literally re-rendering the game 30 times on top of what it's already doing in your headset. So it would make your GPU chug a bit because it would run out of VRAM.
Yeah, but keep in mind though, a frame buffer for the actual pixels does not use nearly that much memory.
True.
And most of the time spent rendering isn't in the actual making it pretty. It's loading all the data, doing all the calculations, everything else, and getting the data from your CPU. So if you're just doing multiple cameras of the already loaded textures, the already loaded polys, the already loaded all the flips and all the everything else, the camera views are not going to be that taxing. Unless they're each drawing their own overlay HUDs or something else that are individual from, I mean, that's just, for the most part, 2D elements, maybe the odd 3D. Yeah, so cameras themselves are not going to be a huge load on the already loaded scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Jack could probably add, since he's been doing a lot of development, but not sure how much he's done with having multiple cameras loaded of the same scene.
Yeah, no idea.
I feel like that's a bad rabbit hole project for him to start going down. Let's be honest.
I
thought about bugging him for a version of his Strife stuff if he can get it working for Radeon, because I've got a 6000 series card now finally, but that's just a lot of work that I don't think I want to give them responsibility of.
Well, it's work that you're going to have to do because you're going to have to build the source of the Unreal Engine.
I really want to see reviewers do more VR benchmarks.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I
Just
would really
because-
appreciate that.
I find it just having like, I mean, I think the Rift was so easy to drive, I didn't even realize how much of a thing it would have been. Also, it doesn't do the, in Steam VR, it does that upscaling. Like it renders default 150% of the resolution and shoves it into your HMD.
Yeah.
The Rift doesn't do that. It's just 100%. So I think that also made it a bit easier on my GPU. But
I need to interrupt you because I'm reading about some NVIDIA technologies for VR and
like DLSS.
well, no, multi-view rendering, where they can get multiple angles in a single pass, and they don't actually have to have a whole bunch of frame buffers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So where I was trying to go towards is I would love to see how those technologies actually do impact VR. Things
Yeah,
like multi-view running, especially DLSS on minimum frame rates. But just no one's really done it. So, and some of the reviews I find about it are okay or questionable at best, really, in terms of their methodology. But yeah, I would be very interested because that would be something that actually really would draw me to a newer GPU more than its outright performance per se.
yeah.
But hey,
For you to test this, you would definitely have. Well, like if I were to do this, I would have to build a version of the same thing with VRWorks without it integrated. I don't even think you would be able to do that with like just an options menu. You would have to have separate builds for everything to test it.
yeah. Well, all going to be waiting for the RTX 4000 series that's going to inevitably be scalped and
No, that's going to be in stock.
overpriced.
They're going to be able to build billions of them. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I love your optimism, man.
Look, if I'm actually trying to be optimistic about it, I would say that actually I don't think it will be scalped because so many people upgraded now. Hopefully by the 4000 series comes out, even if mining is still huge, it'll be less huge than it was in the 3000 series. But more importantly, everyone who had a 3000 series that was waiting from like 900 or 1000 series has upgraded already. So they can piss off.
I'm actually glad I got a 2000 series GPU. I can actually sell mine right now and get more money than I paid for it.
Yeah,
That's
I would know.
That's including the eBay and PayPal fees. So yeah, that's neat for me. Not for anyone buying.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have a PC that's usable.
Well, no, because I could just get my 550 Ti and use that for VR.
Oh,
Wow. That'll go well.
I'll be able to get a whole 3 FPS in the Assetto Corsa.
Nice.
Amazing.
What happened to your 7970?
I don't have that anymore. My dad has it.
Oh,
No, Cat, you won't sell it for me.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change gears real quick and go, since we have been talking about late streaming, and since Jack did play a little bit of Fallout New Vegas for us. Or no, that wasn't Fallout New Vegas. That was Fallout 3, wasn't it?
no, that was New Vegas.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
So Elgato has released a new capture card, 4 HDMI slots, all capable of capturing 1080p 60 FPS or 4K 30 FPS. That's it. That's the entire story.
Yeah, capture card.
So it doesn't do, from what a couple of reviews I saw from some early reviewers, it doesn't do pass-through, obviously, because there's no HDMI outputs on it. So you can't really use it for playing games through it. And I don't believe it supports the Elgato 4K or the software that lets you see the preview to use that to play. So it's basically just using it as, well, for cameras, essentially. And that's really all it's used for, or screen capture from other machines.
So it doesn't do audio
No.
then.
No, but I mean, if I saw some weird people using it for potentially 3D capture, if you had, two cameras set up right beside each other on the single mount, and you could capture the two signals at once. That's a pretty cheap way to get some actual 3D capture now from custom cameras. Or you could set up a single station if you're IT or something and have a simple monitor and here 4 PCs hooked up to this as the displays, and then one machine to kind of see them all. Or if you're running servers or something else. But it's competition because really AverMedia was the only one who had decent 2 or more input HDMI capture cards, and now Elgato's finally got one.
So I guess my question is, what is the price on this thing looking like?
I don't know if pricing was out yet. At least not when I looked when it first came out.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any information about that because if this thing is running for maybe like $150, I could see this being a decent buy, because otherwise you're better off just going with those like cheap like $20 capture cards on a USB hub and just doing it that way if you just need rudimentary video capture.
Yeah, I could see maybe $250 at the most. But yeah, that would be pretty high. But the internal is still nice, because the issue with the USB is, well, I mean, with laptops especially, is how many USB ports do you have anymore? You're getting so few and far between. And desktops, you have so much shared bandwidth on the USBs and issues with just drivers and everything else dropping devices randomly.
Yeah, no, because like going with the USB capture card route, like you can get a decent quality 1080 60 FPS with audio. I think just full bandwidth USB capture card for like maybe $75 these days, versus what I paid for mine back in the day, which was closer to $125, I think. And I have the standard internal Elgato 1080p capture card. I think the 4K version runs like 175 these days. And if you just need rudimentary capture for a camera, because like what they're advertising with this, then just get something cheap, plug it in, and then move on. Oh, hey, Chris.
Sorry, I got the hiccups now.
That was cool.
Join Discord so we can see your pretty icon.
Cool. Yeah, sure. I'm working on it.
Okay, Chris is here. Cool.
He has a fun
Simmons.
name.
Or some of my early testing.
Shit.
Chris, say hi to Kat.
What? Oh, wait. What? Is Kat here?
She's listening to the stream.
Oh, okay. That's different.
Please mute your mic on Discord. This is annoying.
Oh boy. All right. So
Simmons. For the cheaper capture cards, I know the issue I had. I tried a few of the cheaper ones that just show up as the virtual webcams, well, as webcams essentially. Is a lot of them did not handle the less popular resolutions. So in the case of my GameCube output, a lot of HDMI capture cards did not handle a 4:3 aspect 480p progressive from like a GameCube or other console using like a Carby or FrameMeister or something.
Gotcha. Why would they not handle 4:3? Like, I realize it's not common.
They expect it to be a widescreen.
Yeah,
one of the standard ones, or regular FPS as well. Oh, sorry, refresh
you can
rate.
really cheap out on your PCBs if you're only expecting a specific couple formats of video coming in, because the moment that you start changing, the moment you start changing to like capturing something like 16:10 or 21:9, it kind of has a panic attack.
Yeah, so Elgato and AverMedia have kind of done that extra bit of work on their products, that they support those non-standard well, not really non-standard, because it's still a standard HDMI resolution. It's just not a common one.
Right. So going on Kat's comment where she says, I never had any issue with my capture card when streaming old consoles. Yes, because you do have an Elgato, which is a
because you don't stream.
Well, that too. But you do have a more expensive and premium capture card in that context versus like I was recommending going the cheap route, getting a $50 to $75 USB capture card and hoping for the best. In that situation, now you're dealing with cheap hardware that's just doing a single job.
Yeah, and relying on the UVC kind of plug and play nature where you can't really change settings. And it's kind of up to just, I hope it just works and doesn't overscan or underscan and picks the right color format of full versus limited. and everything else versus the Elgato AverMedia. We can actually change all those things in OBS or whatever other streaming software you use.
All right, so moving on to our next topic.
Hang on, I'm just going to interrupt because I wasn't really listening to that because I came in halfway through. I just opened Twitter and there's a statement from the official Annoying Orange account, which is verified. They're saying they got some pushback for making NFTs, and they put out a statement saying that actually NFTs don't increase like carbon emissions from Ethereum.
I don't want to talk about this.
Oh, no, I just saw that tweet as well. It's
This
brilliant.
feels like a fever dream.
There's like 15 tweets in that thing defending them making an NFT of their first video that's just upscale to 4K.
Okay.
I'm just, I realize you don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it either.
But you're talking about it.
No, it's more my brain just, it's doing 1,000
stuck
yards
on it?
here right now.
All right, so we do have a couple topics that we can get through relatively quickly. So I'm going to do this while Chris is having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Is the next one about the M1? Because that would be good for an Annoying Orange joke.
No. We opted not to because we have a lot of other better topics this week.
Oh, yeah, we do. Never mind.
Starlink is actually exceeding 200 megabit per second download rates in certain regions, which is actually kind of interesting. Now the TLDR is still satellite internet. The average latency is actually around like 65 millisecond to most common platforms, which is decent. I know LTT did a video where they played CS:GO with 60 millisecond latency.
Wow,
And-
that's terrible.
Well, honestly, no. For satellite internet, that's fantastic.
It's not that bad.
Or
Well, even
satellite internet, that's good.
And
Okay,
also
great.
compared to a lot of people on DSL, that is still fantastic.
There
I mean,
are
it's fine
weirdos,
for now, but what happens when the whatchamacalls
When the RVs get Starlink installed on them.
No, when like you start populating the network with more people, because right now it's fine, but there's nobody on it.
It's true, and it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. Now, obviously, they want
Hey,
Muskie
Kat, if
Husky
you don't
wants
want
to,
people to listen to me, maybe you should get on the podcast and tell people that.
okay. Yeah, because we know that Muskie Husky is going to be pumping a lot more of the satellites into geosynchronous orbit anyway. So with the more satellites, it's going to be able to support more users in more regions. So, I mean, in theory, you just fill up the lower Earth atmosphere with hundreds of thousands of these satellites. You're not going to have an issue. In theory.
I'm going to invest in Starlink so I can turn my money into more money and also Kessler syndrome.
We are not financial advisors.
I do think there is going to be issues with it because there are weird Elon Musk cultists living in the city who want it just because it's something Elon Musk made.
Hey, Simmons, maybe instead of like every time, actually, you know what? No, it's funny. Keep like being super paranoid that we're going to get sued for like giving out financial advice. I'm not giving out financial advice, even if you do take that at face value. It's an action that I'm doing. The joke is there's going to be so much shit in very low Earth orbit that it's going to be a problem.
I agree.
Make astronomy very hard, including the bits that are like, hey, there's this asteroid that might kill us all. It's cool.
Yeah.
The idol for the I fucking love science crowd is going to make an entire discipline, the oldest scientific discipline in human history, much harder to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Great.
No, Chris, this is where you're going to have people like you that make Cracker Barrel versus highway exit tracking sites, create sites that are going to track holes in the Starlink network
You know,
when
but I'm
it's
not
best to
tracking
view
anything?
the stars.
Crackers don't open like quickly enough to have a live tracker. Axie, what are you talking about? They don't add that many new.
No.
stores
He's
on
making
any given-
a parallel to your project to what people are going to be doing, so people can schedule optimal times to do astronomy.
That's
as a
not
hobbyist.
how space works, or
okay.
time.
It's okay.
It's going to
Chris.
have to.
Axie, your joke has to like
You're just
have
thinking too
something of
much
a
into
premise
it.
to work.
Yeah.
Like, just say egg beater and call it a day.
Hey, Chris, it's a joke.
It's not. It's literally not a joke. There's no setup. There's no punchline. You're just
Punchline is that you got
saying
upset.
words and hoping it's funny.
Okay, so moving
Axelfer
on.
loves to say things and hope that they're funny.
So moving on.
You're the one laughing.
So NVIDIA RTX Voice is now available on, I think, all GPUs now? On all NVIDIA GPUs? Is that correct?
I think it's back to GTX 10 series. I don't think it's back to the 9 series.
Okay, interesting.
I
So
would say people aren't buying 9 series cards anymore, but
yeah, have you? I was gonna say, just I was kind of bored at one point at work today. I went onto eBay and I looked at most recent GPUs purchased. There was a 780 that was sold for like $350.
Oh my god!
thank you for archiving this so we don't have to give them ad revenue.
You're welcome.
Because in our testing at the time, we discovered the RTX 1080. What is an RTX 1080? Like, do they mean GTX 1080?
They meant
or do they
GTX
mean
1080.
2080 or 3080? Because I don't know. And
No, because if you go to the actual article, they updated it. They said we made a mistake. We said we meant to say GTX 1080.
okay, well, they're still not getting my ad revenue. I'll take your word for it.
Yep. So, and now this next topic, I don't know what this is, and I was getting berated before the podcast for it, but apparently Logitech is ending the Harmony remote.
Oh, that's sad.
What is this thing? Somebody tell me what this is.
So the
Wow.
Harmony remote is a super smart remote from, I want to say, 11 or 12 years ago at least.
Oh, it's
Where it
ancient.
was-
We've had one since like 2008, 2009, I think.
Yeah, so it was like the epitome of a programmable remote that you could load over micro USB with new devices, and it could control your entire home theater system, including at the time smart lights and smart blinds. But they weren't really called smart; they were just automated with relays that were triggered through whatever
IR, most likely.
in-home wired systems and hubs and stuff. And it had your full every device. You could have your different things. Okay, I want to watch a movie. So it's going to turn on all these devices to the right state, set your volume, set your sound profile, your decoder options.
Wow.
I want to
Okay.
play this game. Okay, it's going to turn on your console if it's an IR-enabled console like PS2 and up, where it had an actual IR sensor on it if you had the little plug-in in controller slot 2 for your PS remote. And it could control all your stuff, set it to the state you want it to with just a single button on the remote, and it just controlled everything. And it was like the bee's knees if you're a home theater geek.
Also, they work by using Adobe Flash. They just have SWF files in there. And noted computer hacker and generally insane person Foon on Twitter managed to make it run Doom. This is really deep in here.
well, that's just food in a nutshell. Let's be honest. Didn't he also install Doom on like a pregnancy test?
No, just got something to like feed video into it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, they did not get it to work with Doom, but I'm putting this on Twitch. They got it to play Trogdor.
Amazing.
So close enough, but yeah, they're nice remotes. Also, the battery is in a kind of bad place because if it gets puffy, it is really hard to get out. Like you have to stick a knife in there and kind of press down on the battery, but hopefully not stab through the casing to get it unstuck. I don't ever want to do that again. So
Yeah, so you see that, Chris. So I know the one remote we had that issue where we had one bad bloated battery. So once we got it open, our fix was to break the tabs and then hot glue it closed the next time so that we could just heat it with a heat gun to open it up the following time when the battery pooched.
That's actually not a bad solution, honestly.
yeah, well,
I mean,
we'll wait for that.
I mean, I would probably go Velcro tape and just make it look super ghetto at that point. But that's just me.
No, they're pretty tight internally. There's a lot of just
gotcha.
random plastic bits.
All right.
Yeah, they were nice remotes, and it's sad that they're. I mean,
Well, I mean,
discontinuing them, but
well, I mean, I'm honestly not surprised. Just with how everything's going, you must use a smartphone app that is tracking everything that you're doing to control your smart devices in your pseudo home theater.
Yeah, Harmony remotes aren't like that.
Yeah, so it was like that. I wish I would have known about that a long time ago, because if there is one thing that my parents always complained about with the surround sound setup in the one room, was the fact that you needed the overly complex remote for the surround sound system, because my dad actually got a good one that had about 128 configurable settings just on the remote itself. And then you needed another one for the TV, and then you needed another one for the DVD player. So yeah, my mom would have really appreciated that.
yeah, the best was that you could, because you could just add devices to it and have like all your configurations.
Mhm.
You could technically have, let's say you had like your living room upstairs, a rec room downstairs, and let's say your garage. You could have the one remote control everything. And that way you could just, the kids cannot access anything. You had everything kind of hidden, like up behind, like up in the wall kind of thing, or everything hidden.
Yeah, I kind of want to get my hands on one of those and just set up like a remote control IR relay in my apartment, because my apartment has I think it was built back in the 80s when apartments with the radio modules built into the wall were a common thing. And I would just love to be able to turn that on at random intervals when Chris was over, and just have smooth jazz playing when he's sleeping on the couch.
That's really weird, and I would actually destroy it if you did that.
I'm sure you would, and that's kind of the bit.
I miss intercom systems built into the walls.
Well, it's not even an intercom system. It's literally a wall-mounted radio, like FM AM radio, and a 8-track player. Well, wait, 8-track is at the cassette?
Yeah.
Oh, there's 8-track and cassette, but 8-track was, yeah, a style of cassette.
Thanks, Chris. I'm not sure what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
So we are actually getting close to the wrap-up point. So I'll let somebody else pick our last couple article to go, or our last article to run through. We've got 2 left before we just go into off-topic and start ranting.
LG quits smartphones.
Who
Bye-bye,
cares? It's Android.
LG. Okay, Chris, that's
Nokia is making smartphones again, not under Windows Phone.
Ooh, that's also Android.
That's where you're wrong, Axie. They've actually been doing that for a while. I don't know if they've been available in North America, though.
Oh, really?
They haven't, but they've been kind of holding off on the Nokia branding and keeping it as the their parent company. I'm trying to remember can't remember what it is right now.
That's where you're wrong again, at least in Europe. I don't know about North America, but they have been selling under the Nokia brand for 4 years now, I think. But yeah, they bought the brand back from Microsoft and started making phones themselves again.
Which makes sense, because I mean,
they are actually pretty good. If I had to get an Android phone, it would be one of those.
Oh my God,
well, even like my 2 Windows phones I had that were Nokia based, like they were still great phones. It was just the software sucked, but the phones themselves were still great. Like the cameras were better than anything else at that price point. They had expandable batteries. They had removable batteries and expandable storage, and they just were great.
Actually, with
they suffered under Microsoft.
Yeah, with the camera thing, I had one of those. It was a 2013 phone, and the night pictures it took were better than anything I'd ever seen from a phone up until the iPhone 11 Pro.
Yep, and arguably the Windows Phone, one thing I think I liked the most about it was it did the OneDrive integration just natively, instead of having to be a separate app like Google Photos and Google Drive has to be. So it actually competed with Apple's iCloud for being just a nice seamless backup and storage of all your documents and everything on your phone. And like your messages, your chats, emails, all that stuff. So you could easily just back up your phone, reset it, and restore with just what data you wanted. And you could actually pick and choose what you wanted to restore.
Well, actually, I did like Windows Phone. It's just Microsoft never really did any real marketing for it.
Windows Phone,
the App Store was just horrendous.
That's not even close, Andrew. You can blame a whole lot of it on Google. Like, yeah, Microsoft mismanaged it, but the fact that Google actively restricted a lot of their applications from getting Windows Phone releases right?
Yeah.
Because, Android was competing, meant that it never really got adopted because, well, can't get Gmail on this, can't get, Google Cloud on this. Gotta get an Android for that. And
That's
I
actually a pretty
can't-
good point.
I can't talk about the things that have one polite company, but anyway.
That's fair. I think your anger is enough sentiment for that. Let's be honest.
Well, we could let him rant about Windows 10.
No, we're gonna save that for
Where's it?
we're gonna save that for the after show because we're going to just get really ranty, and I feel like that since we're running out of time, that's better suited for that.
Shortages of $1 chips spark crises.
But yeah, no, just a couple of the specs from this new Nokia X20. It's $415 5G smartphone, 128 gigs of internal storage, 6 gigs of RAM, and the thing that's actually confusing me is side fingerprint sensor. What do they mean?
Why?
Built into the power button,
How does that
probably.
confuse you?
Well, no, because when I think of the side of my phone, I'm thinking of the left or the right edge. I might
It's probably built into the power button, is what it is.
Oh, okay, got you. So it's only going to be scanning one segment of your fingerprint then?
No, what they do is you swipe your finger across it.
Oh, so it's like those old school
have you ever seen certain Windows laptops will have a little nub,
like a bar.
horizontal nub, and you swipe your finger over it.
Okay.
I don't think they could put it on the side of the phone just because everybody uses cases.
Yeah.
Does anybody just use a naked smartphone?
Yeah,
actually,
I do.
My mom does actually.
Really?
No, I did until my iPhone 11 Pro because the stainless steel and the sand-blasted glass back are exceptionally slippery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a little rubber sleeve with my old BlackBerry, but eventually I just gave up and figured, you know what, screw it. I don't want to bother. And it was fine, although less than, I think, 48 hours after I decided to stop using it, I managed to drop it on concrete and gouge some of the plastic. But it's fine because it was a BlackBerry, so screen didn't break. It's just a little dent in the plastic. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Kind of like the dent in my laptop, right?
yeah. No, actually.
Actually, with the hardware on the phone, it also comes with a headphone jack, which isn't really a thing anymore.
I
so
believe
that's
it was
neat.
2.5 millimeter, though.
That's
Is
fine.
it?
On my BlackBerry, it might have been. Let me see.
No, I mean on this Nokia phone, not your BlackBerry.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I don't know.
That's actually really neat for a $415 phone that has a headphone jack. I mean, I can't imagine what the DAC in it is anything
Yeah.
exceptional, but who cares?
Yeah.
Honestly, who cares?
It doesn't say what size headphone jack it is, just that it has one. It looks
Well,
like
I
it's
mean-
3.5
Probably
millimeter.
3.5 millimeter. I don't think.
Actually, that's the one thing. So I know the Nokia Windows phones, that was one of the other key features was they had amazing DACs in them. And they were the DACs that had the built-in FM antenna
Oh yeah,
that used the ground of your wired headset to give you FM radio.
that's actually really neat. I like that.
Yeah, that's a classic pocket radio design choice. I learned.
I have a quick question for everyone here, just because we're on the whole this 5G cheap phone is.
Yeah, it gave me COVID. What's up?
Who actually here thinks that 5G, a better question is, how valid is 5G in the cell phone market
So
when LTE can still stream 4K 60, no problem?
So I will say that switching over to the 5G antennas, because I adopted it probably about a year and a half into implementation. The coverage was actually significantly improved over LTE.
But do you have a 5G phone?
I do, yes. I have a Samsung S20 FE.
Why would
Oh,
you
right.
do that to yourself?
Yeah, I thought I was the only one with a 5G phone here. Maybe Jack. I don't know if the
Yeah,
Pixel
I do.
has it.
Yeah,
Does
Pixel
the
5
SE
does.
support 5G?
No.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I have it, and I have used it, and it's pointless and stupid, and it's just buy this phone. It's got bigger numbers.
I mean, that's really all there is to it. There is no the thing is, consumer electronics, ever since the smartphone, there is nothing to buy. There's nothing interesting. Actually, somebody made the argument that wasn't number one, it was the smartphone, but it was also flash memory. Once flash memory became cheap enough to hold enough, what's the point? You just put another chip on the motherboard. It's just, yep, here's a circuit board. It does a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
There's nothing interesting about
I
it.
still get excessively angry about phones not having a micro SD slot anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, the phone itself still had flash memory. It's like you just don't get weird stuff like weird stuff or even mechanical stuff. Like there is nothing to smartphones. My brain shuts off whenever the topic comes off. It's like
the Asus pop-up selfie cam.
I do like that though.
What's the point? What does it add? It's just one more thing that can break.
No, hang on. Simmons, I've got some good news for you because this Nokia phone has a micro SD card slot.
Amazing. You know what? If I didn't literally just purchase this phone for $400 last year.
Simmons, why would you buy that phone?
Because it was $400.
What? No, the Samsung, not the Nokia.
That's what I'm talking about. I got my S20 FE for $400.
Well, what's wrong with you? You should have bought an iPhone instead. They are superior.
Why would I get an iPhone? Because I've never been in the ecosystem and I don't have any desire to get into that ecosystem. I barely use my phone anyway.
Get in the ecosystem. It's good.
Yeah,
I'm actually seriously contemplating this Nokia X20
yes,
now.
Kat, you should get one as well.
No, I'm still on my Pixel 3 because it's still more than fast enough for every app I have to load, including editing PowerPoint on the go. Because yes, I have to do that because we still use PowerPoint.
I'm so sorry.
No, honestly,
and it does everything I need to. So performance wise, I don't need more. 5G means nothing to me because if I'm between buildings or inside a building, which is most of my life, I'm not going to get 5G anyway.
Yep.
And having a micro SD and a headphone jack so I can, charge my phone and listen to music at the same time in private is kind of a nice feature without having to get a stupid weird double dongle thing. This Nokia phone is actually
now
actually interesting.
What I'll be really curious to see is their reskin of Android and seeing if it's any good.
Yes, if they use just the stock Android, like AOSP with their minimal apps added on, or a full overhaul, like Motorola, Samsung style reskin with everything
honestly,
deep in.
The thing that pisses me off the most about my phone is the fact that it's a Samsung image of Android. It is such a miserable experience if you're trying to do anything
with the
technical.
Pixel and my Nexus tablets and the Nexus phone before that, because it was a bare minimum. I mean, I'm already in the Google ecosystem anyway. I don't need to be in Samsung's as well.
Right. Actually, the funniest thing that and I'll shut up after this, but so Samsung had its own cloud backup solution, and I think just a couple months ago it switched over to OneDrive. So that just says a lot about the Samsung ecosystem, in my opinion.
But actually, hear me out because you said you want a new phone.
Yep.
You should have a look at getting a iPhone 12 Pro.
I've honestly run everything. I've run iPhones, I've run Blackberries, Android, Windows Phone. I've run them all, and nothing that the iPhone offers, because my wife still uses iPhone, all of her family. Nothing that the iPhone offers is above and beyond what I need from a phone. So I see no point in moving to the Apple ecosystem when I already have my full app library in Google Store, because I've got the Torque Pro app for connecting to my car for troubleshooting over the Bluetooth OBD2 connector. I have paid apps in the Android marketplace that are worth more to me than changing to iPhone.
Well, actually, that is just selfish. I need a photo of your iPhone 12 Pro box so I can put it in another Discord because they think I have many iPhones.
So literally, you just want him to get an iPhone so he can send you a photo of the box.
Yeah.
You called me selfish, but you have a selfish reason for me to get an iPhone just so I can send you a picture of the box.
Yes.
Just go get a job working at a cell phone store in some random mall somewhere.
Yeah, but then I'd have to work and sell phones. And I want
days. You don't have to work. Just work there for 2 days and get fired.
Just be a janitor.
Claim EI.
Oh, hell yes. Cash for Clunkers 2 is in the news again.
All right. So real quick before we go any further, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. For people who are watching us on Twitch, stick around because we will be doing an off-topic rant session after this.
I'm pretty sure the only person watching us on Twitch is Kat.
It doesn't matter. And to everybody
No,
else,
we have quite a few watching. We have sysadmin. Thanks for watching. We have joint effort, electric longboard,
Pudgy.
Mander Root, Cat, Casino Thanks, Atten, and another TV viewer.
So yeah, thank you everybody for listening to us live, and for all of us recorded listeners, thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode. Thanks, and bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Boy.
I'm not saying it.
Don't say it.
Say it.